Today we'll talk about displaying data primarily using frequency tables and histograms. Let's assume in a statistics class students got the following grades in their recent quiz, graded out of 20. I listed them in no particular order. And let's say we want to generate a frequency table using 5 classes. To calculate the class width, I need to sort my data and find out what is my minimum and maximum values. To do that, I turn on my TI-83 or 84. I push the Stat button and then pick Edit by pushing the Enter button. And I went there to column 1 and I pre-entered all these values the way that I see them from left to right, the first line, left to right, the second line. And you can actually see these values. The beauty about using a table is you can see the address, which is L1, and you can see the row. This works very similar to an Excel spreadsheet, and on row 12 you have the value 2. So it goes all the way down. But I still don't know which one is the minimum and the maximum values. So what I do is I need to sort that data. So to sort the data, I go to Stat. And the second choice is sort ascending. And the third choice descending. Let's say I want to do the sort ascending. You push Enter. Now you need to tell your calculator where you put the data. So I push second one, which gives me the L1, and close the parentheses and Enter. And it will give you a signal that it's done. To see that the data is in fact sorted, you go back to Stat, Edit, and you see now the smallest data point is 2, and you scroll all the way down to see the largest data point, which happens to be 20. Now, you know your minimum is 2 and your maximum is 20, so you go back to your class width calculation. You subtract 2 from 20, divide by 5, you get 3.6. You always will have to round up, even though this number may be 3.2, 3.1, you will still round up to the next integer. Now, I pre-entered the frequency table, but I'll explain how I did that. The first column is going to be the class limit. On the left, the lower class limit, I put the minimum value, and my class width was 4. So what I do, I add 4. 2 plus 4, that's 6. That's going to be the lower class limit in this row. 6 plus 4, 10. 10 plus 4, 14. 14 plus 4, 18. Now, the second one, the upper class limit, is going to be 1 integer less than your next line's lower class limit. So since this is 6, this is going to be 5. Since this is 10, this is going to be 9. Since this is 14, this is going to be 13. So 2 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 13, 14 to 17, 18 to 21. As you see, the class limits do not have overlaps. To make them pretty, I use class boundaries. What you do is you make this lower class limit a little fatter this way, and this class limit a little fatter that way. Since the difference is 5 to 6, 1 unit, I'm going to make this fatter half unit to the left, half unit to the right. That will give you 1.5 to 5.5. Half unit to the left, half unit to the right, 5.5 to 9.5. Same thing, 9.5 to 13.5, 13.5 to 17.5, 17.5 to 21.5. The next thing I do is I calculate the midpoints in this column. The midpoints are simply the class limits added divided by 2. 2 plus 5 divided by 2 is 3.5. 9 plus 6, 15 divided by 2, 17, 7.5. 10 plus 13, 23 divided by 2, 11.5. 14 plus 17, that is 31. divided by 2, 15.5. 18 plus 21. So all these values are calculated the same way. To see the frequencies, these are the hits within these boundaries. What you need to do is you need to go to your stat, edit again, and you're going to count. You can tally it if you want. You can put another column in here before you write your frequencies and do it with a partner while they are reading it, but you just simply count the number of hits between 1.5 and 5.5. I'll do first 2 rows for you. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values between 1.5 and 5.5, and you write 5. The next class is 5.5 to 9.5, and you go and you count how many that is. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the next one's too big, so it's 5 again. For this class, you do the same thing. In next class, you do the same thing. You simply count and write down the frequencies. For some other tables, for some other graphs, other than histograms, you may also need the cumulative frequencies, or you may want to generate the cumulative frequency histogram. To be able to do that, you might want to calculate the cumulative frequencies, starting with the first line, 5. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 6, 16. 16 plus 13, 29. 29 plus 7, 36. And that concludes your frequency table. You may want to add, if you want, relative frequencies to the right of cumulative frequencies, and you can use those different values to generate different types of graphs. Now let's assume that I want to generate a histogram. Let's go back to my frequency table, and my histogram is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes, and you can plot the boundaries on the x-axis and the frequencies on the y-axis. To do the frequency histogram on your calculator, what you do is you're going to go to second stat plot, and you are going to turn on a plot by pushing enter, and make sure this is blinking on. Go down with the down arrow, and you're going to pick the third one on the first line, that blinking one, and then make sure that you enter L1 in here, frequency of 1, don't change that, and you actually picked your plot. Now, I want to push the graph, but before I do the graph, I would like to go and make sure that my calculator is going to pick 5 classes with the class width of, remember, 4. To be able to do that, what you do is you go to Window, and you can actually see the window in here. I put my minimum value of 2, maximum value of I want to cover to the right of it, even though my maximum is 20, I want to see to the right of it. I put 23. That's not that important, but this is what's important, the width of your class. So that happens to be 4. And your frequencies, we are going to go from -1 and all the way to 15, because your largest one in terms of frequency is going to be around that. Do not change these values. What I'm going to do, once I set the window like that, you can enter that window. What I'm going to do, I'm going to push graph. As you see, you are going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes in a histogram. If you want to see the values of the histogram, what you need to do is to push trace. It will give you the values. N equals 5, that's your frequency. The next one is 5 again. The next one is 6. The next one is 13. The next one is 7. If we go down on the frequency graph, the frequency table, 5, 5, 6, 13, 7. 5, 5, 6, 13, 7. And you can actually see the class limits right here For example, this one is minimum 18, maximum is less than 22, 18 to 21 in this case. So you can actually change the number of classes by changing your window, and you can make this, let's say I want to make this 3, then your histogram is going to look a little bit different. You see, so this doesn't agree with the frequency table I generated, but you can manipulate it the way that you want, changing the class width. So this concludes the generation of a frequency table and histogram using actual data.